you have to like really flip that switch in your mind to realize that every time that you say yes, you're killing scalability, right? My favorite word, one of my other phrases is the most profitable word in a service business is no.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the HighLevel Spotlight Sessions, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I'm joined by Michael Cooch, who is a serial entrepreneur, founded several successful seven-figure businesses in tech services, agency services, publishing, and e-commerce. Mike, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Mike, I've been spending some time watching some of your content, and I've sort of picked out 3 topics to talk about that I think our community will be really into.
Cool.
And the first one is clarity. And I think it's so important, and it's not talked about a lot in the marketing space, in the entrepreneur world. And coming from the agency world, running an agency for 6 years, it's something that we really struggled with because we never did it. We never sat down and hammered out clarity on our plan and where we were going or why we were doing this. Can you talk about not only the importance of it, but like how far do you take it when you work with young entrepreneurs?
That's a great topic and a great question. It's interesting because I think that there is clarity at different levels, and for entrepreneurs, awareness of where clarity is important and getting that clarity is absolutely critical. I know for me personally, and I think that this is true for a lot of people, is that until I can really, really clearly kind of see in my mind exactly where it is that I'm trying to go, I'm just kind of scrambling around. Like there may be a lot of energy going into it. I may be doing a lot of hustle as entrepreneurs do and working really hard. But until I have that real clear picture in my mind as to, who it is that I want to serve and how I want to do that and how we're going to be differentiated as a business, every business has to be differentiated in some way if it really wants to thrive. And so how it is that we're going to be different and bring that differentiation to the marketplace, then, like I said, you can put in a lot of effort to build something, but not really get that real momentum. And clarity is always the first step in that to me. And then that goes all the way down to literally to, the package of services that you're selling. I mean, if you're in an agency business, right? I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see in the agency world is that, agencies are honestly that they're still presenting themselves just as an agency. We do marketing agency services, and it's like, okay, well, what the heck does that mean? I mean, if I'm a prospect and I'm considering buying from you, and that's the degree of clarity that you have in your message, I have to go through all kinds of work just to find out, what the heck do you actually mean compared to, this guy over here who says, we book more full tables at, restaurants using XYZ campaign strategy, right? So that lack of clarity costs a lot of people in their sales process. And I don't think they even realize how much it is costing them.
Yeah, I think it's very common, especially for young agency owners, to formulate, okay, what is our package? What should we include? What should we not include? We can technically do these 20 things, but do we want to push those 20 things? Yeah. But what I really like that you brought up is differentiators. What differentiates you? And I have a lot of friends around where I live that own restaurants, and they want to open more. And, when I talk to them, the first thing I say is like, what are your USPs? What are the things that are going to differentiate you in the market? Because that's what people care about. Yeah. And in the agency world, I think it might be a little harder to do, but if you put some time into thinking about it, just take a different angle. And like you're saying, make it really clear of what makes you different. Yeah. I think that's a great way to stand out. So Mike, the second thing I want to talk about is lifestyle business.
Yeah.
So there's a quote that I pulled from, I think, one of your websites. It said, building a lifestyle business requires certain decisions that may not be ideal for investors, partners, or employees. So you should be very clear about your goals with them and yourself. And that sort of ties back to clarity.
Yeah.
And I love that quote because in this industry, it's a lot of stacks of cash, Lamborghinis.
Yachts. We're all out on our, I'm going out on my yacht as soon as we're done with this call.
Yeah, I mean, me too. My Ferrari's outside. I'll hop in that. And it seems like, especially for the younger generation getting into marketing, that's the goal, right? Billionaire.
Yeah.
Talk about that versus a lifestyle business.
Well, it's interesting because to date myself here, I got my start as an entrepreneur in Silicon Valley during the first .com rush. And so even though, and it's funny because even though, in Silicon Valley right now, Silicon Valley would make fun of, the IM marketer scene as being over the top and flashing the yachts and all that type of stuff. Silicon Valley is just maybe I don't know. It's the exact same thing in a different package, right? You've got everybody out there, whose entire mission in life is who can raise the most VC money and go public. And it doesn't matter, did you actually build something with value, right? I mean, that was the culture for so long. And I will say that that's actually changing because there is a lot of, I think, maturing in the space that's happened there. But to a degree, that's always been there and will always be there. It's seductive, right? It's kind of the Hollywood version of things. And for a while in Silicon Valley, like I thought that was all that mattered. And I raised money from venture capital, and it was kind of like, well, you raised money from venture capital. Doesn't that mean you won? And then of course you had to go and
$2 million.
Yeah. And then you had to actually go and try and, build a business and do something with it. So, it was a very interesting period of time for me where thankfully I was able to step back and say, is that actually attractive to me? Do I really care about that? Do I really want that? And, the good thing for me is I was very able clearly to answer, no, what matters to me is how I live my life, the experiences I get to have, the time with the people that I want to be with, the ability to travel. All those things matter much, much more to me than money. And I do not dismiss money. I mean, money I think is fantastic and I want a whole bunch of it. And actually that's one of my important points about a lifestyle business is that the world that we live in today with automation and ad platforms and all that, you don't have to give up the dream of having big money just because you want a lifestyle business. And that's incredible because I don't think that was always true. So yeah, having real clarity on that because, if your goal is to go build a $4 million a year business where you can suck as much cash out of it so that you can travel around the world as much as you want and all that good stuff, raising money from investors can be completely counter to that. And building, you use the example of an agency business, building an agency business without the right model. I stress without the right model because with the right model, you can still have all that flexibility, but with the wrong model, you can be tied to be on the phone with clients all day, every day.
And we're going to get to that in my third point. But what I really wanted to point out from what you're talking about in lifestyle businesses, going back to clarity, if your end goal is to build an agency because you think one day you're going to sell it and cash out, that's so hard to do, right? And I heard you talk about this in a video. Why is it so hard to sell an agency?
Well, because 95% of agencies, and I'm pulling that number completely out of my ass, by the way, but it just seems like 95% of agencies are built around a professional services model of trading time for money, where they do not really develop much in the way of assets, intellectual property, systems, processes, and oftentimes not even recurring revenue. So if I'm a buyer and I'm looking to buy that business and I look at it and go, well, really, this is the Chase show. Chase is a smart guy and he's hustling and clients love him. But if Chase were to disappear on me tomorrow when I buy this business, what is there for me? So as a buyer, the value of that business drops in my mind tremendously. And Chase has been busting his butt building his agency for 10 years. And maybe you actually are able to pull a decent income out of it. And, so you're thinking, well, this business is really valuable, but really what you've done is created a job and a job where you're probably having to hustle your tail off every day. So it's very much like most other professional services businesses. Law firms typically don't get sold for a lot of money. CPA firms don't get sold for a lot of money. Typically people work their butt off and then, find a way to escape, hopefully with a little bit of cash. But
yeah, or they sort of pass it down to like a family member, right? Like these can be, agencies can typically be family businesses because like you said, somebody is sort of the key player in it, right? And I think that's so good for our community to think about, especially if you're just getting into this, is what is your end game? Have clarity of like, is it to build a family business that you pass down? That can be fantastic.
Yeah.
If it's because you think you're going to cash out, you need to start thinking about what you said, which is getting customers versus having clients. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite sayings in the whole world. And it goes back to my IT services business, which was the first business that I built up and sold. And it was the realization that clients were people that paid us money to adapt to them. And that's what a client should do. It's like, hey, I've got cash, you've got brain power and hustle. I want you to make some magic happen for me. And so I'm going to be demanding. I want things my way. In the small business space, it's almost impossible to make the economics of a client work. They simply cannot pay you enough money and pay you consistently enough to pay for all of that customization and high demand services. So a customer, on the other hand, if you think of a customer as somebody who walks into Walmart and buys something off a shelf, there's a thing on the shelf. It's got features, it's got benefits, it's got a price tag, and there is zero customization. I believe that if you're selling to small businesses and you want to build a scalable business and you want to be able to exit that business, you have to get as close to the Walmart side of the spectrum as you can. It's a service business. You're not going to get 100% of the way there. But if you're keeping that in mind all the time, so that instead of adapting to every client, what you're doing is you're taking a product and you're finding the right customers that product is a fit for. And then, again, it's a service business. So you're making some adjustments as you go, but you're not doing custom things for everybody. It changes the entire business altogether. It's a dramatically different business.
Yeah. And let's see if we can take this a little further. So basically what we're talking about is typically a marketing agency, like you're saying, you want clients, right? But not really, because clients are going to say, hey, can you do this for me? And you're going to say, yeah, I know how to do that. Sure. Well, now you just made another job for yourself or someone on your team, right? They got to figure out how to do it. They got to do it every month over and over again. Whereas what we're saying is try to productize your services. How do you do that as an agency?
Yeah, well, and I would say the big risk of the scenario that you described first there is that they won't do it every month over and over again, right? Like there's not going to be anything that's consistent. So you're going to come along and say, I want X, and I'm going to go, yeah, maybe I don't even know how to do that, but you're willing to pay me, and I'm a smart person, so I'm going to hustle and figure it out for you so that you don't have to do it. But the real risk is that's a one-off project, and then now you're really in trouble. So when it comes to productizing something, what's really important is to look at what are the kind of mass services that businesses at scale will pay for. So, a really customized website at the price that you need to sell it at to be profitable, most small businesses will not pay for that. They may want that, they may demand that from you, but they won't really want to pay for it.
Been down that road.
Yeah, but what they will pay for consistently is, leads, that my reputation is good online. I don't want to look bad online. That I get enough social media posting done, and that my social media is building up. That newsletters are getting sent out on my behalf. Like those are things that pretty universally, in this day and age, businesses are going to pay for. Yeah. So the first thing is to make sure that you're designing around services that the far majority of businesses that you interact with should go, yeah, I need that, right? And for a fair price, I'm willing to pay that because I'm not getting it done myself. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is to then very deliberately design what you're going to include in that service and then what you're going to leave out of that service. I call it putting boundaries around it, putting that package around it, just like a product has a package. And then if you want, a different product, well, that's over here on the shelf and it costs this much.
Big Macs don't come with tomatoes. They just don't.
Exactly. Yeah. And, and that is such a foreign concept, though. It was a foreign concept to me for years, because as a service person, what you think is, when that business says, well, I want this and I want to pay for that, your reaction is to go, well, yeah, okay.
Right.
Sure. You want that? I'll sell you that. You have to like really flip that switch in your mind to realize that every time that you say yes, you're killing scalability, right? My favorite word, one of my other phrases is the most profitable word in the service business is no. And that's counter to what people think, but you have to make that switch to decide, hey, I'm only selling this and not this, or I sell that as a different product that you have to pay more for, one or the other.
So scalability is the last thing I want to talk about. And so I think maybe a lot of our community members who are new agency owners or getting into the industry might not really know what scalability means. I mean, it's a term you hear all the time.
Great.
But what actually is it? What is scalability when it comes to a marketing agency?
Yeah, so I would loosely define it as that you're able to add customers and revenues without adding the same or even an increasing amount of overhead to go with it, right? So that's the problem when you sell typical client work, is now I have to find some smart brain to fulfill that client work. And that means I just got a new salary and benefits and everything I got to pay for. And you never really get out of that cycle of each new dollar means an expensive new person on my team.
Yep.
Whereas if your business is built around process and automation, then you can sell that customer that package. You can sell that next customer that package, that next customer that package, and the work that goes along with it doesn't scale up at the same time. So just like if you were selling a software as a service platform, you've got a great infrastructure, you've got great software. Every new customer that comes on board and buys that software doesn't mean that you have to go invest in another new server and another new developer. And that's why the software business is so good. So on the services side, we need to leverage technology. We need to leverage process as much as possible and have that consistency in the packages so that we can sell them without having to increase our workload every time.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why when you don't build to scale, you end up in situations where, like at our agency for a year or two, I was looking at the numbers and I'm like, we're growing sideways. And our CEO is like, what does that mean? And I was like, well, we keep selling more revenue, but we keep having to add team members that cost us more. So we're not really making any more money. We're just transacting more and causing more headaches. And so when you learn how to scale, it's exactly that. You can take on more clients without having to pay more people to do the work. Yeah. And software is a great way to do that. And I don't know are you reselling HighLevel?
I'm a huge fan. Huge fan.
So, I mean, there's a perfect example of how you can sell a product as sort of an asset that doesn't require more labor.
That's right. And HighLevel is a perfect example of how you can design services. So not necessarily just selling the software directly, but designing services that leverage all of the automation that you guys make possible. Then those services can be based on technology. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, either one of those scenarios gives, marketing agencies a whole different way to scale up.
And would you say that, so I saw some videos like automating your sales process, right? Let's say you set up HighLevel in a way that makes selling more automated, and you're using HighLevel or whatever else you're using to do other things that are more automated. Does that make you more attractive as an agency if you want to sell it someday?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I would say in any business, if I'm buying that business, and it's important to always try and put yourself in the shoes of somebody that you want them to give you millions of dollars for your business, right?
Yeah.
There's two really critical things that they're going to look at first, which is how do you get customers, and can I continue to get those customers at scale without having to be some sort of sales and marketing genius myself, or bend over backwards, and then can I fulfill what it is that you're selling, again, with that scalability and a cost structure that works. So you're going to look at both of those things immediately. Again, anytime that I look at, potentially buying a business where the key requirement to get new customers is somebody having to hustle, and outwork and outsmart, that's not a great business to invest in. So if you can turn it into process and automation, absolutely.
Talk about when you are looking to buy a business, how much does niche matter?
It matters a lot. It's all, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So it's really important. I mean, if your goal is literally that you're building a business to eventually sell it, then you should have a target of who your ideal customer is the whole time that you're building that business. Because
clarity,
exactly. Because Mike, the individual, will pay a totally different price and for totally different reasons than the private equity firm that has $500 million under management and is looking to buy businesses. We're looking for different things. We'll pay different price points. So as an example, though, there are plenty of businesses that buy other businesses to get into a niche. So if you have that kind of foothold in a niche and they go, well, geez, that agency is number one in that space already, it's going to be hard work for us to take out number one. It's always hard work to take out number one. So if they look at it and go, oh man, you've already got a 6-year head start in that niche and great reputation, then the value of the business goes up for sure.
Yeah, that's a great example. The other one I was thinking of is like if agencies could get acquired. Let's say you're like a POS manufacturer and you're like, hey, we're in tons of restaurants, but now we want our POS would work for, I don't know, gyms or something. Well, hey, there's this agency that has, 300 gym customers or whatever. We could just buy them and then all of a sudden we have them and we could add that service on to what we do.
Absolutely.
So yeah, niche is super important. I think if your end goal, again, if you have the clarity and you know that our end game is that we want to sell this thing, these are all important things to think about. Well,
let's just say also, even if you don't want to sell it, I don't think that there is any benefit that you could sell me on right now on a agency or marketing service provider being just a generalist. I don't think that there is any way that you could convince me that there is a positive to that for that service provider. So
the only example I heard the other day when we were talking about this is we sort of fleshed out, well, I work with clients in several industries, but it's the same model. It's like a claim in a book or whatever. And I'm like, well, that kind of is the same niche. It's just,
it's still a niche. It's a niche based on service instead of a niche based on industry. But it's still, you've got focus, you've got repeatable process, you've got something that you're known for instead of just generally.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's still a niche.
So Mike, do you help business owners or entrepreneurs with all of this stuff from clarity all the way through building, like literally building scalable processes?
Yeah, I do. I mean, what gets me really excited is exactly what you're talking about with the whole lifestyle business thing and the automation and scalability in a version of a lifestyle business. That to me is my absolute passion because I think that we live in an era that is completely unprecedented for an entrepreneur to be able to start a relatively small business and still have an amazing life because of what that business provides. So that thrills me to no end. That's exactly why I love actually the HighLevel Platform, is because I think that creates some incredible opportunities around that. So yeah, that's what I'm all about.
And where should people go if they want to learn more about having you help them achieve a more lifestyle friendly business?
Yeah, so particularly in this whole agency space that we're talking about, digitalmarketinglab.io. Digitalmarketinglab.io is the URL. And that's where, I've got a bunch of content up there and resources and things like that. And it's really all about the service provider space, whether that's agencies or freelancers, that are trying to take these services that they've started selling or have been selling for some time, but can't get out of that, professional services scramble. And they're looking for ways to create scalability and create a more ideal, lifestyle business or exit the business, as you said.
That's awesome. So basically you can help them sort of create a buffer where it's like, hey, Mike just saved me 10 hours a week. Now I can spend those 10 hours with my kid.
That would be that's the dream to me. Yeah. That people have the flexibility. That's my priority. I have 3 kids. and just about to take them on a ski trip, and my business allows me to do that. And I would love that everybody is able to make those choices and have that flexibility.
Yeah, and I think it's well within the realm of possibility nowadays with the tools we have, HighLevel being one of them. So it sounds like you've got a great mission going on, Mike, and thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll put the links below. Hop over if you're interested in finding ways or having someone help you find more ways to get some hours back out of your week. Sounds like a great idea to me.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on board, and thank you for everything that you guys are doing at HighLevel. I can't say enough about you and your team, and the support that you're giving the community, and just the enthusiasm from you guys to help the community, I think is just absolutely amazing. I can't say enough good things about it. So thanks for all the hustle and passion that you guys are showing over there.
And speaking of the community, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode.
Sounds good. Thank you.